Good afternoon. I am Andrea Chisholm with the Midday News. Special welcome if you're watching on onespotmedia.com. A reminder as well that you can watch TVJ Live by downloading our One Spot Media app in the Google Play Store or the App Store. That's the number 1 followed by the words Spot and Media. The government is in discussions with the Broadcasting Commission as it seeks to regulate the media landscape, which includes social media. Information Minister Ruel Reid made the disclosure this morning in the Senate. He said only 20% of broadcast news is regulated by the Broadcasting Commission. The issue was raised in the context of Jamaica placing 8th in the Global Press Freedom Ranking. Senator Reid says the media landscape has changed dramatically as persons have more mediums to get information and communicate. Contractor General Derek Harrison says his office has received documentation on the circumstances which led to Agriculture Minister Carl Samuda benefiting from a scheme for dairy farmers. Mr. Harrison says the information is being processed, but he did not state whether his office will launch an investigation. The opposition People's National Party called for the OCG to investigate why Mr. Samuda was able to plant Mombasa grass on his personal property through the Jamaica Dairy Development Board. The opposition described the move as predatory behavior by the person overseeing the Agriculture Ministry. In a release, the PNP said it is a case of corruption and a breach of public trust. But JDDB Chairman Donald Elvey said it's standard policy for the board to offer assistance to dairy farmers. He described the call from the parliamentary opposition as unfortunate.
Planting of grass on farmers' farm is a policy directive of the JDDB where money collected from farmers in cess is given back to farmers in the form of planting grass on their farm. And the benefit given to Mr. Samuda as a dairy farmer is not peculiar to him. It is one that is given to every dairy farmer.
The Health Minister has responded to criticism from the Nurses Association of Jamaica NAJ that the recently announced efforts to keep nurses in the country are not enough. Dr. Tufton was speaking at a press conference on Tuesday. More in this report.
During his contribution to the sectoral debates, Health Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton announced a number of initiatives to be rolled out over a 10-year period to help stem nurse migration. The initiatives include the creation of an additional 300 posts for specialist nurses. The NAJ boss, Janet Korfar, had said that does not go far enough. But Dr. Tufton, at a press briefing on Thursday, said it is just a start.
We did say that the process would include the 10-year strategic plan that is now being done, which I spoke to earlier as part of the reform process. Part of that is going to be to look at healthcare professionals and the different requirements in different categories, including doctors, but also specialist nurses. Once that process is completed and we determine that we need additional numbers, then decisions will be taken guided by that process, because we are pretty sure that we need additional numbers. But I don't want us to go out there and try to solve the problem without the work being done on the 10-year strategic plan.
He said it was unfair to view only one aspect of the plan and launch a criticism.
The other elements of their concern include housing, which I did say too that we were looking at some possibilities there. And then of course we have the concern of training and the infrastructure for training. I did speak to the upgrading of some of our facilities, which will allow improved capacity to train more. And I did speak about the exchange possibility with the UK, which we are now in discussions on. So it would not be fair to look in isolation at the 300 posts alone, because frankly I did announce a series of measures that ultimately will lead to a more improved environment.
In the wake of a shortage of specialist nurses, the government earlier this year recruited 47 critical nurses. On average, the country's health system needs more than 250 specialist nurses, but fewer than 30 are trained annually. Jeline Pearson, TVJ News.
The opposition is calling on the government to speedily clear its arrears on streetlights with the Jamaica Public Service. Questions were raised by Noel R. Scott recently in Parliament.
It now stands at 5.4 billion. 2 billion more than where we left it in 2016. Let me repeat it for the house to hear. The current bill for the arrears for streetlights, Mr. Speaker, is $5.4 billion. 2 billion more than where we left it in 2016. How come, Minister? How and when will this be paid?
The government has indicated that it's working with the JPS to reduce its arrears on streetlights. Discussions continue to fully roll out the LED streetlight program. More than 30 people were detained on Thursday and several rounds of ammunition seized during a police operation in sections of the corporate area. The operations were carried out to combat gang violence in Kingston Western and St. Andrews Southern over the last few weeks. The raids also came hours after a policeman was shot during a shootout with gunmen in Hannah Town. The police who was shot in the neck is recovering in hospital. Assistant Commissioner Ronald Anderson, commanding officer for Mobile Reserve, provided our news center with an update.
A series of operations were conducted in the Hannah Town, Golden Heights, and Denham Town area. 70 assorted ammunition were seized and 2 persons arrested in connection with the fund. 35 persons were arrested on reasonable suspicion for various crimes. 480 uncustom cigarettes were seized, and 1 motorcycle also seized in connection with the operation. There will be further ongoing operation in the areas. No reported incident during the operation.
April was the bloodiest month in the St. Catherine South Division since the start of the year. That's according to Senior Superintendent Robert Bennett, who revealed an almost 50% increase in murders. Speaking at the Portmore Municipality Corporation's monthly meeting, SSP Bennett says 13 persons were murdered in April, up from 7 in April last year. Meanwhile, since the start of the year, the division has recorded 119 major crimes. Portmore recorded the highest, 90. Central Village, Old Harbour and Old Harbour Bay account for the remaining 29.
Where murder amounted for 28, shootings 36, robberies 27, breaking 15, aggravated assault 1, rape 8, and larceny 3.
The police say the number of hotspots in the division are up from 5 to 9, with Watson Grove and Nagahead in Portmore and Dumbleholden in Spanish Town being the prime areas. He believes the crimes are linked to gang-related activities and says extra efforts are being pulled to stem the upsurge. Meanwhile, SSP Roberts says his division is facing challenges with mobile patrols in dormitories. Even though there has been increased interaction with citizens and crime has been reduced in some communities, he says officers will be trained in patrol on bicycles.
We've got 4 bicycles, and we are in the process of training some additional persons with the hope that we will be getting some more bicycles. We have placed them in all areas within the municipality, so you will be seeing them from time to time.
And the chairman of the Police Federation, Sergeant Raymond Wilson, has raised concerns about police officers who are injured on or off duty. He was speaking at the recent Police Federation conference, where he outlined a list of concerns to the National Security Minister. Sergeant Wilson urged the government to ensure healthcare is more accessible to police officers.
Too many times, Minister, we have to be called as the central executive to intervene on matters where a policeman, either in uniform or otherwise, is injured in uniform, and he must join the line somewhere, or he must sit down for the 3 hours or something. And if it is not a case where you call the CEO or some senior person at the hospital, they have to wait. Minister, it can't be that our police is out there serving, and when it's their time to be served, they have to be faced with this situation.
He says police officers should be provided with access to private, secure hospitals. In the meantime, Mr. Wilson also raised concerns about the condition of some police stations.
There need to be greater attention given and faster attention given to the state of repair of our stations, Minister. It is a fact that some of our stations has posed a greater threat to our lives than the very gun that we are carrying on our sides. Because at least if somebody don't pull the gun and pull the trigger, it may not be fired, Minister, but we don't know when something from that station is going to fall on top of us. And that's a fact, Minister.
A handful of demonstrators yesterday called for an investigation into the operations of the Jamaica Rifle Association, JRA. More from TVJ's Kirk Wright.
While the crime forum was taking place inside Knoxford Court Hotel in St. Andrew, this was happening on the outside. Persons outside obviously wanting to shed light on the JRA.
They have a bullet-making equipment down there, and it has been reported to the police, and there have been no formal investigation. Nobody has come to ask anybody a question about it. You can't have something like that in the open, and this is a high crime rate country, and if we are serious about crime, we need people of integrity. You have a group that they control, the Jamaica Rifle Association, and when people talk about certain things, they want to expel them. They have gone and expelled people.
The issue was also raised on the inside, but the people who did so had no success at getting answers. They were told the issue was being raised at the wrong forum.
Are we really serious? Are some people exempt? Or, guarded from the law? Are there two laws? One for uptown, one for downtown? I'd like to put that to your panel.
Same issue?
Yes, but I'm asking for advice. I'm not on the same thing with it.
You have an issue with the JRA, and I don't think you should bring it to the police.
No, it's not an issue with the JRA.
But it's the same point being raised by that gentleman, right? To the police.
Okay. Well, if there's no place for it, I guess there's
No, but this is just not the appropriate forum.
Okay, as you said, this is not the place. Where is the place? There's no place. It's crime. We're speaking about crime. We're speaking about integrity.
After the meeting, though, George Overton, the Director of Operations at the Guardsman Group of Companies, gave his opinion as to what should happen at the JRA.
The JRA matter is one that has been in the media. It's one that it's a private association, and there's an issue within the private association. And I think that they need to take the matter to the police and courts.
Persons who raised the issue surrounding the JRA said they will go to any length to have the matter aired. Kirk Wright, TVJ News.
And in sports, former Wilmer's Boys standout Odin Skeen, who is the fastest Jamaican man so far this season, says he had to overcome a trying 6 years since leaving Jamaica for college in the United States. Skeen announced his readiness to step up to the senior ranks after posting his first sub-10 seconds clocking over 100 meters last month.
In 2010, after winning the 100 meters at the inaugural Commonwealth Youth Games, Odin Skeen was being hailed as one of the leading young sprinters in line to take over from compatriot Usain Bolt upon his retirement. But things have not gone entirely according to script. Skeen has had to battle injuries and off-the-track issues since winning bronze at the 2012 World Junior Championships and leaving Jamaica for college in the USA. He describes it as having been up and down.
First year in junior college with a personal best of 10.14. The second year was hurt, but won the 60 meters with a personal best of 6.56. Auburn first year was rough, want to focus on education, now I've returned.
But the former Wilmer's Boys standout has started 2017 with a bang, speeding to a big personal best 9.98 seconds over 100 meters, competing for Auburn University in April in the USA. And this makes him the fastest Jamaican man so far this season, fastest on the U.S. collegiate circuit, and joined 6th fastest time in the world so far this year. But he says it wasn't his best run.
Well, it was a sloppy race, didn't have no start. I didn't rush my dry face. From there, came up and gradually smooth the transition, went straight to the line. Looked cross, was a 9.98, surprisingly.
He now has his sights set on the World Championships in London and making his first Jamaican senior team. But he's well aware of the tough national trials to come in June.
We have SEC in 2 weeks, then regionals, then NCA. After that, we have World Championship trials in Jamaica. But I can't tell what's going to happen now, but just follow my process.
Skiing's next major championship will be the Southeastern Conference NCAA Division I Championships in the USA, starting on Thursday in South Carolina.
Interesting stuff. And that's the midday news. I'm Andrea Chisholm. Join us for primetime news at 7 o'clock. On behalf of the News, Sports and Production teams, good afternoon and have a great weekend.